I resisted TikTok. I was
Resisted it.
actually anti-TikTok in the beginning because I thought it was stupid. I just saw people dancing all the time. And I'm like, terrible dancer. So I'm like, look, I'm not dancing. And if this is what you have to do to promote your business, I'm not interested. Thank you. But my girlfriend gave me a good kick in the butt and a good nudge. And it wasn't until actually she did show me a few informative educational videos that I saw the light. And I said, wait.
Hello, everyone. Today's guest is an individual who has answered life's call to stand up for real health, who felt he had a moral obligation and civic duty to help educate and heal people after the system let them down. A certified colon hydrotherapist, herbologist, consultant healer, Reiki Master, and the owner of Healing Arts Apothecary. He is an all-star in his day-to-day work and a TikTok all-star who has over 115,000 followers on his second account, which we'll get into later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Sacha. Thank you for being with us today.
Dillon, thank you. Thank you for having me. And hello to everybody that's out there. It's a pleasure to be here. So we can just talk, share, learn, and maybe connect a few dots in the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we get into your story and background, Sacha, I would just like to lay the framework of our conversation to our listeners. We're going to go over Sacha's personal journey, discuss colon hydrotherapy, talk about natural healing, and why healthy, natural, time-tested medicines are now suddenly considered alternative. And finally, at the end, we'll go over TikTok as a whole and how he got started. And hopefully this can encourage those of you who are watching and listening who desperately want to post their passion on TikTok, but are too nervous and have been waiting for that last little bit of push to get their first video out there, because in today's world, we need more people willing to share their incredible stories and their passions more now than ever. And with that, Sacha, you are a colon hydrotherapist. Tell me, how does one become a colon hydrotherapist? Did you have that foresight, or is this something that kind of you stumbled into?
Absolutely. Well, I initially started my career as a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker. I spent the last 20 years working primarily in film, television production, and my life's passion was primarily artistic. And it really wasn't until it was a variety of events, but it was a combination of my own health problems that were a byproduct of being exposed to some really gnarly germs while I was in Haiti during the aftermath of the Haiti earthquake in 2010. And I spent about 4 months down there. My mother is from Haiti, so going back was actually personal because my family was down there. And a lot of people, I lost a lot of friends, and a lot of people were directly affected by this horrible disaster. So going down there, I pretty much was subject to the standard microbes that you breathe in after an earthquake, which is unfortunately a combination of fecal matter, dust, and dead bodies. And literally people would be blown to dust, and you would literally be blowing them. You'd be inhaling these particles, even with a mask on, for months, because there were so many dead people that nobody could address it or clean it up. I mean, it was just tragic that it just, even to this day, there's still places that have not even been, where people have been able to exhume their lost ones. So that being said, I just got really sick. I ended up getting amoebic dysentery. I had parasites, and I had, PTSD all combined as a result of just the stress, the trauma of all the aftershocks, and some of the horrible things I witnessed. And coming back, basically doctors were destroying my health. Doctors with all their antibiotics and their misdiagnosis, because I was just constantly being misdiagnosed. And, initially I entrusted doctors like most of us do. And it just got to the point where they were destroying my health and they were slowly killing me. And it just, we as humans go through what I call, it's just a wake up moment where you start to realize, wait a second, something's not right. And it's time for me to take matters into my own hands, because the powers that be don't really care about my well being. So, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to fight for my health. I'm going to fight for my well being. And so, what ended up, I went down to Haiti thinking I was going to shoot a documentary. And then I came back, not only dealing with all these health problems, but I just started to shift in terms of my priorities, because I was so obsessed with healing myself that it just became an obsession. And next thing I know, just suddenly film, TV, all these other things just lost the flair. They lost the same appeal they once had. And it was through my healing journey of a combination of acupuncture, because I had an amazing acupuncturist who actually got me off of some very strong antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds naturally with needles, nothing else, and some herbs. And I mean, literally got me off of some, really strong SSRI medications that just mess with your brain chemistry. So it was through acupuncture, and then, dealing with my digestive issues. I just was a human guinea pig. I was always exploring new avenues, and I guinea pigged myself into doing a colonic. And it wasn't until I did my first colonic, there's a tube where you can actually see what's leaving your body. It's pretty gross, but lo and behold, I had parasites. And it was just like watching a space alien come out of your body. But it pieced together so many of my issues, my problems, and it really helped me figure out, okay, now I know who the enemy is, what the enemy is, what's been plaguing me for all these years. Because doctors, once again, just want to pump me full of pills that weren't getting anything done. And colon hydrotherapy was my light bulb moment, because not only did that procedure help me get rid of parasites, I also had a yeast fungal overgrowth called candida that's a byproduct of having parasites. And we can get into that later, because I feel like 50% of the population has it. Um, and so it was just going through this journey with all these amazing modalities that I just got my health back. And there were increments. It didn't happen overnight, but the journey started with that. And then it led into newer and other explorations of just experiments and things I did on myself, such as fasting, that really turned things around for me. And here we are.
I appreciate you sharing that. And yes, I can already draw parallels to the same thing. And this is for everybody watching. This is why my account and my channel is called Citizen Scientist, because it's so important to learn and research for yourself, but then also experiment on yourself, right? And that's what you just said that took you down your healing journey. That's what took me down my healing journey, is the same thing. I went to so many doctors, so many specialists, and was getting pills or surgery, pills or surgery, pills or surgery. Never a question of my diet, never a question of anything outside of the dogma of what they're taught to tell us. And so
Right.
I started experimenting on myself, different foods, different diets, different exercises, different natural remedies. And lo and behold, I now feel like a new man. And that's kind of where I stumbled upon you. I even purchased something from your store, some soursop leaf capsules. I even have the receipt right here that you sent me with some nice words. But
Oh, that's great.
that's a powerful story, and I hope people really internalize that. And it's sad that it takes most people going to the doctor, for years, spending lots of money, multiple different appointments before you finally go, this isn't helping. I'm feeling worse. And it's kind
Right.
of unfortunate that we have to then take it into our own, ourselves. And then we're seen as people that are alternative or outside the central dogma. So I appreciate you sharing that. So you have an apothecary, is that right?
That's correct. Initially, what started off as colon hydrotherapy just evolved into the herbal apothecary, as a byproduct of the pandemic and the lockdown. And it was a byproduct of losing multiple friends, one uncle as well. And pretty much, I'm going to reiterate what we discussed previously, but it was just a wake up moment for me and many others when we were slapped in the face with this new reality where you were pretty much told that if you are not at death's door or you're not at the finish line, don't step foot in the hospital, and pretty much F off, good luck, you're on your own. Well, okay, that's fine. I get it. We're in a pandemic. Everyone is scared. So what next? What do we do? Crickets, nothing. Where was the advice? Where was the system telling us, okay, well, if you do get sick, maybe a couple suggestions on what you might be able to do to treat it other than going to CVS and getting NyQuil and Tylenol. Nothing, crickets. Nothing about, hey, go outside, try to get some vitamin D for 30 minutes if you can, or try to get moving a little bit. Just some of the standard commonsensical things that we would assume, were never once ever projected out on that television set. And it was just constant daily fear. And it hasn't really changed. But, so what happened is that I did things out of desperation, not because I was trying to defy the system. I did things because in my own experience, I've seen what helps in some of these situations. And there's something called iris sea moss that people are not familiar with, and it's a sea algae that grows abundantly all over the planet Earth. And this stuff is packed with all these minerals, and it has this unique ability to dissolve mucus. I mean, it's so intense when you start to take iris sea moss. I always warn people, you're going to have a nasty headache for 2 or 3 days, and you're not going to stop blowing your nose because it's going to start to dissolve all the mucus in your head. I don't know how many people during the pandemic wrote to me telling me how, we got to shorten their ride and make their lives healthier and better by using just the sea moss alone. I mean, people were heading for pneumonia and the sea moss was just melting it away. So there was that element where it started to become like, oh, wow, light bulb moment. Some of these suggestions people started to listen to, and then I would see firsthand these suggestions working more effectively than pretty much what we were told to do, which was what? Nothing, right? We're just told to, I mean, really, I can't remember anybody or anything that told us what to do, to give us any tips, even with like some cough syrup or some ginger tea, or come on, like all these things that are accessible to us all in the markets. You can go to a dollar store. You don't need my fancy oils and rare herbs to fix a lot of your problems. And, the other aspect to this, going back to sea moss, is that it's about mineralization, and that this is where the system is flawed. And this is where, we could theorize all day long, but vitamins are, to me, the biggest sham that are out there. And I'll tell you why. Look up the word vitamin in the dictionary. Okay, anybody look it up. It's going to tell you that vitamins, 99.9% of vitamins are inabsorbable by the human body. We pee them out. Okay, so I'm not saying there aren't benefits to the vitamins, but the emphasis on vitamins to me is upside down. It's backwards, and perhaps it's intentional. I don't know. But the minute I started focusing on mineralization, whether it's iris sea moss, bladderwrack, burdock root, people consume shilajit, okay, which is this funky Himalayan sea salt. And, there's just ways to get your minerals. And, this goes back to chemical affinity and your body absorbing and processing that's, whatever's in alignment with your makeup. So, we're given toxic pills all day long, and that does not align with our body's chemistry. And it ends up being poisonous. And Dillon, why I have you here, a funny thing that I used to look for this online. I used to see it all the time and it just vanished. But one thing about just all the medicines that we were, taking that destroyed our health that I found almost ironic and frightening was that somebody posted a chart of all the side effects of, let's just say, your mental health pill, okay? Zoloft or whoever, okay? And that here are your 50 unpleasant side effects that you're going to get with that. And then somebody posted symptoms of poisoning and symptoms of light, subtle poisoning. And when you see the symptoms of all those just miserable side effects you get if you get exposed to poisoning, it was identical to everything that was on that list for these mental health pills. And it was just like such a slap in the face, and just another moment where, okay, awareness, we're now aware, we're all, realizing something's fishy. And somebody dropped the ball when it came to helping us during this crisis. And as a result, we have now created a division in our country that we've never experienced or seen before, where now somebody like me is vilified. I am a snake oil salesman. I get verbally attacked every day on TikTok, and I have to block people because they want to actually not only berate me, but they want to negate what I experienced firsthand. They want to negate that I healed myself or that I've helped other people. And unfortunately, we're now living in a time where this technology it's a double-edged sword, because it's helping us, it's bringing us together. We're learning. I mean, God knows how much I've learned from you and so many people out there and my clients. You guys have been my biggest teachers, not some school, not a book, firsthand experience. Okay. And that's a pretty damn good teacher, and I'll take it. So, so it's just frustrating, Dillon. It's frustrating because this is about life and death, man. And you can't water it down. And how dare you tell us that we don't have a right to share what, what we think, what we believe, and what we might think could help somebody else. Okay. So, it's just really, it's frustrating that we are living in these tough times where now healing has become politicized. And here we are discussing it to make sense of it all, because it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I thank you so much for sharing that. It's almost like we are speaking telepathy, because everything that you just came out of your mouth was what I have been bottling up and been sharing on my page for so long. And I'm actually glad you brought up the vitamin supplementation, because again, and this is my follow-up question, but I want to get into something real quick, is the
Sure.
confusion that we see from people. And this is actually a TikTok that I'm actually going to post later today, but it's about Linus Pauling. He was the first Nobel Prize winner to win a Nobel Prize solo by himself. Very smart man. And after he won his 2 Nobel Prizes, he had a fascination with vitamin C. And he's really what is the creator of this vitamin supplement craze, where he, with his 2 Nobel Prizes, he said vitamin C could cure cancer, AIDS,
Right.
and lead to a 150-year lifespan. And just because he was a genius, people believed him. Well,
Right.
after 250,000 people been studied over dozens and dozens of studies, The Atlantic actually did a report in 2008 that showed that after looking at every single study where they used vitamin supplementation, specifically just the supplementation, the single unit, it actually increased cancer and heart cardiovascular disease. And
Oh,
funny
wow.
enough, Linus Pauling, who claimed it could cure cancer, died of cancer, and his wife died of cancer. And again, another book that I'll cite here is the China study, where they actually go through supplementation. And yes, vitamin C is great, but it's great with a whole food, because it's a
Right.
complex organism. We are complex organisms. You can't take something down to its final one little thing and think that that's going to create the same effects as a full fruit. And that's our society, right? They teach us to think, what's number one? What's the best? What's the MVP? Who's the star? And we forget that it's teamwork, that it's complex systems working together that all interrelate in ways that we still don't understand. And so the conclusions drawn from this book and thousands of studies is the only real supplementation that works is maybe B12 and vitamin D3. Everything else you need to eat through whole foods. And that's what the power of your channel, what you're saying with Irish sea moss, right? We're not deficient in pharmaceutical drugs. I'll say this over and over again. We're deficient in vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And these things that are natural whole foods that are especially grown in the ocean with so much diversity, Irish sea moss, burdock root, black seed oil, these things have an abundance of minerals that our body needs. And it's a whole food that can activate inside of our body. So I think it's very important for people to understand why we're talking about supplementation and vitamin C and all these things not being good outside of the whole fruit or food that they come from. And so my follow-up question is, why do you think so many people are confused when it comes to health? And why are people not second guessing a doctor that prescribes them a pill that they cannot pronounce? But when you or I share something about a food that has verifiable minerals and nutrients, that has been used for thousands of years, has been documented for thousands of years, and has first person people saying, hey, I did this and it worked, and they question that. What is this phenomenon that you think of?
You know, Dillon, I just find it just highly suspicious. And I try to lean away from all this conspiracy chit chat, but, you know, inevitably it's clear that something is suspect, and that, you know, half of the things that I'm even suggesting are foods. They're foods like oregano oil, right?
Yes.
Well, that comes from oregano. It's a plant. So it's almost comedic when, you know, I'll have people ask me, well, is this going to contraindicate my medication and my high blood pressure pills and this pill and that pill? Is it going to affect it? And it's almost comedic because it's literally food. Yeah, it's concentrated, and without a doubt, oregano oil, if you don't use it responsibly, can burn. But again, a lot of these things, if it's not a natural food or leaves from a tree, whether it's soursop, a fruit, or papaya leaf is another big game changer for me in terms of my own personal health and helping other people get out of this dark hole with long COVID. Um, I've just been surprised that, again, all of these things are just plants, and they have biochemical properties. And unfortunately, some of the videos that I've posted that were either taken down, you know, go as far back as University of Florida, you know, these studies have been done where they have shown that papaya leaf will raise your white blood cell count within a couple days, or that it also boosts immune enzymes in our body. But again, these studies, peer reviews, the way the system works, it's once again not in favor of, unfortunately, the corporate world that we live in now, where the corporations have taken over, and that it's all about money. And whether you want to say big pharma or whoever, I mean, at this point, it's just it seems that the claws are just in everything, and that we're now experiencing a historic moment. And this is historic because I think I'm going to quote, I think it was Fidel Castro who said something about history will absolve me. Okay. And not the best example, but I like the quote. And it just resonates because I feel like, you know what, people like us who've been berated or just attacked or criticized for just trying to help. I mean, that's all we're really trying to do, right? I'm just trying to help you. I'm trying to help the people I love, and I'm trying to help my friends. And in the process, I just so happen to have a business where I've been helping people, and it makes me feel good. I like helping people, and it gives me a sense of gratification when I see somebody going through a crisis and they do a couple colonics, they do a cleanse, and next thing I know, their hair isn't falling out, or they don't have rashes all over their body, or they're not plagued by parasites anymore. And so it's, you know, unfortunate that even colon hydrotherapy doesn't get the recognition that it deserves, because as the father of all medicine, Hippocrates, once said, you know, all disease is rooted in the gut. And it's truth. You know, there's just so many health issues. I guarantee you, whoever you are on this earth right now, if you're having a health crisis, your gut is out of whack and it needs help. You may not have to do a colonic, but throw in a couple enemas or start doing some cleansing, juicing, fasting. There's so many different ways to clean out your colon and to do it naturally and without spending a lot of money. Um, and that's the key, you know, Dillon. So really, I think it's just about arriving at this new juncture where um, people have lost faith in modern medicine. People have lost faith in their doctors, and it's unfortunate because, you know, there are some really great doctors out there. And I'm not against the system. I'm not against modern medicine. It's just it just needs to start taking some accountability for its flaws, its mistakes, and its shortcomings. Whether it's having a high misdiagnosis percentage, okay? Or the fact that a lot of people die every year by accident. Oops. Well, take some accountability for it, guys. And maybe we can learn from it so we don't repeat the same thing over and over again. But no, there's none of that. So,
and I think that's what you and me are really trying to iterate on our channels and to the people that are watching is we are not trying to pick a side. We're not trying to demonize healthcare system as it is. We know that it can help people in a lot of amazing ways, in a lot of creative ways. If you break a bone, if you fracture your skull, go to the hospital, get surgery.
absolutely.
These are things that can work in conjunction together. And I think you brought up the great point is we just want to see some accountability. We don't have a horse in this race. We just want the truth, and we want what can help people the best. And you talked about your story, which I want you to get into a little bit more. And my story, just real quick, is I had gut issues. I was literally keeled over in bed with a stabbing chest pain, like someone was poking me with a knife. I couldn't move. And I'm a 28-year-old male.
That's too young, man. Way too young.
Seriously. And I'm healthy. Look, I'm skinny. I go out, I work out all the time. I got a gut test that I had to pay for by myself outside my doctor because they didn't even offer it. They never asked my diet. They never asked what I ate. Their response after I had to go to my regular doctor was I had to go to them first to then go to a gut specialist. I couldn't go to the gut specialist. I had to go to the doctor, get a referral. The gut specialist told me one of two things. We can give you a pill that can minimize your acid in your stomach, or we can do an endoscopy, sticking a tube down your throat, or a colonoscopy, sticking a tube up your butt. I did the pill, and after about a week, it kind of helped, but I said, I'm not going to be dependent on a drug for the rest of my life. That's what I asked her. I said, so is this something I have to take once a day? She's like, yeah, with a straight face. We have lots of people that do it every single day.
Right.
I got an endoscopy. They said, we don't see anything. I then had to convince my doctor that my dad, who has stage 4 colon cancer, that I was at risk for a colonoscopy and I needed to get one. And only by using my dad's sick health as leverage would they finally allow me to get a colonoscopy, which cleared my system because they give you a drink where you literally sit on the toilet for 8 hours. They did the colonoscopy. Everything looked fine again. And then I finally said, you know what? I've done the last, and then the final thing they want to do is literally cut me open and pinch my tube. And so I said, okay, this is ridiculous. This is the last time I'm going to see you guys. And I started following content like yours and natural remedies and Irish sea moss and soursop. And when I took the soursop, it's 83% dietary fiber intake that you need. And I started clearing my bowels and I stopped getting this pain system. I stopped burping. My stomach felt normal again.
Amazing.
And I realized just from eating natural whole foods and these Irish sea mosses and things that are healthy, filled with nutrients and vitamins, I became a new person. And that's when I started sharing TikToks to try and help people. Because like you said, when you feel the weight of health off your shoulders and you can just function as a normal person without worrying about hurting or being in pain, you just want to desperately give that to someone else, because you know that if everybody feels that healthy, what kind of world could we live in where everybody's actually healthy, actually happy, and informed? So please give us again your journey, and then tell us what colon hydrotherapy is, what that process looks like.
Absolutely, because so many people, that's not a common procedure, and it's quite frightening to a lot of people. But basically, colon hydrotherapy is a medical procedure where you are pretty much situated on a fiberglass bed. Some of them are laying down, some of them are seated at an angle.
Are you knocked out for this?
No, you are conscious, you are awake.
Okay.
And a pencil thin tube is inserted into your rectum. And the best part is that you do the inserting. The device is set up so there's no physical contact. I do not touch and have never ever touched any of my clients when they do a colonic. They literally follow my instructions, which are very simple. And this very, pencil thin tube, everything is situated where it needs to go. You situate yourself, but I pretty much call it a motorized enema, where you are sitting on what I like to call a high-tech crapper. And what's happening is as you lay on this device, it slowly fills you up with warm water. and you will start to blow up like a balloon. Your gut starts to get bigger and bigger to the point where inevitably what goes in must come out. And then you pop like a balloon. All right. Stuff comes out of you from God knows when. The joke I like to make is, when I first started doing colonics, I saw a stop sign. I saw a set of keys I lost in college. I saw pizza boxes from 19 something, like just all this ancient history that's marinating inside your guts that's just been sitting there for years starts to come out. And just that in and of itself just started to change my energy levels, my sleep, my hair, my skin. And it was evident because I had a problem. Now, mind you, if you go to the bathroom 3 times a day and you're regular, you don't need to do colon hydrotherapy. Okay. And other people also will dismiss it because they say, well, it gets rid of all the good bacteria in your gut. Well, the problem is most of my clients and even myself are and were gut compromised to begin with. Okay. Like all the good gut bacteria we had was already out of whack, and parasites and whatever else is in your bowels is just going to wreak havoc. So flushing the source and the cause of that problem is going to allow you to regrow and recolonize that good gut flora that you're lacking, because those little critters inside your body are feasting off of them. So that's where colon hydrotherapy to me is just really special, because when it's done properly and you are struggling with an issue, it's going to definitely help minimize a lot of your unpleasantries, whatever symptoms you deal with on an everyday basis. Thinking you're getting older might just be because your colon is clogged up. It's that simple. The pipes need cleaning. And everything in our body, Dillon, and you're highly aware of this, you always talk about it, doesn't matter what system, lymphatic, circulatory, it's just, we are tubes, we are elastic tubes. And whether it's your circulatory system or your gut, if you clog up the pipes, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to affect the flow, isn't it? Well, so maybe if we get rid of what's clogging it up, whether it's excess mucus or excess poop or yeast or God knows what, to me, that's right there, the foundation of just healing everything. And it's that simple. But the system doesn't want you to know that. And even me saying this out loud to some might be, a sin, medical sin. I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree. And again, the running joke is, if they heal us, that's a customer lost. But that's really what it is. And if anybody's ever had a family member, a friend have cancer specifically, that it's really a system that is not designed to cure you or to give you even empowerment of understanding. I could
Right.
tell you for 3 hours the ridiculous conversations my mom has had with insurance companies and doctors, with my dad screaming in pain in the hospital, not letting them do a procedure unless we pay $10,000 on the spot, not
Wow.
believing anything that we say, that we're lying. And what you're sharing with your, colon hydrotherapy and eating natural foods is to empower people to say, hey, take your health into your own hands and be your gatekeeper. You're in control, and that's all we want. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I wanted to get into Reiki healing. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Reiki,
healing.
sure.
And I went on your website, and it sounds like you utilize things like theta sound healing, crystals, tuning forks, singing bowls. I have a Tibetan singing bowl
Nice.
deal right here as well. So,
Nice.
can you explain what that is and that whole process?
Absolutely. So Reiki healing is basically a form of what's called energy work. And this is, to me, to break it down, a technique that was devised in Japan in 1918. It's not even that old. So it's not like some ancient thing that came from, the masters of way back when. But this healer, whose last name was Usui, devised and was able to heal people by using his hands, placing his hands on different parts of the body. And through the power of intention, he was able to heal people on multiple levels. So let's just say, for example, you're having a stomach ache, or let's just say you were having that crisis of yours. He would have taught you how to heal yourself first, because that's level one. You don't get to level 2 till you learn how to do Reiki on yourself first. And you would place your hand on that part of your chest, and you would focus on these symbols that are taught to you, while at the same time putting out the intention of healing, love, whatever it is. Okay. And I'm telling you, it was just, to me, I feel like it's almost like 80% foolproof, because I had my class with people who were beginners. They didn't know what they were doing, but we all have this innate ability to heal. And Reiki is a great avenue to explore this ability. But it's a combination of faith. You have to have an open mind, because to some people it's witchcraft. This is voodoo. What are you doing? But really, it's that simple. And I coming from Los Angeles, I get very deterred with some of these overly holistic people that get all into the chakras, and it's all because your chakras aren't aligned and you need to do this and that's fine. Those are great words to identify points in your body where this or that might be out of whack, but it really is that simple. It's the power of intention, what you put out there, and it's also prayer. So I would place my hands on different parts of people and their bodies and their issues, and there's just an exchange of energy. It hasn't been scientifically proven, but this practice now is, to me, it's so popular because it works, and it's easy. That's the other part. And you don't need to be psychic. You don't need to have special powers. It's just about directing your ability to heal within yourself. And it's really about recognizing that you have that power. And that's what, to me, Reiki is. It's really like everybody can heal themselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And that's what we need to learn, and we need to regain that we lost.
I agree with you, and I have a lot of hope because I see a lot of this being shared on TikTok and other platforms, is the idea of frequency and hertz, different sound frequencies. I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, I love Dr. Joe. I've got all his books.
Same. I've read them all as well. And he has a great YouTube channel where he has testimonials. You don't have to listen to him. These are people that are literally showing pictures of their tumor, and then a picture of it disappeared, where we have the ability, and it's the whole idea of you are the placebo. Again,
Right.
take it back to the pharmaceutical drugs. They run tests where they
Right.
take an SSRI and they compare it to a placebo, and they're almost identical, 50%, 50%, without the side effects. We can manifest so much more than what we want. And it's this dogma that we've been brainwashed that we need outside things to make us feel better. We need outside products, drugs, whatever you call it,
Right.
to make us feel whole. And I just love this new movement that we're seeing that you're ahead of, is the idea that we have everything that we need inside of us. And I feel like as more and more people talk about this, as more and more studies are now being done about it, especially with the gut brain connection, as we do brain scans on people simply just meditating, doing things like Reiki healing through frequency, I think it's very exciting. And I'm really excited to see this shift of this alternative medicine becoming what it actually should be, which is our primary source of healing, inside,
Right.
and then the whole foods that we've only evolved with over millions of years. So I'll have to look more into Reiki healing, because I got the bowl, I got a couple tuning forks, so I think I'll start checking that out. Now, just really quickly,
Sure.
because I know what we're talking about, and most of the people that are following us have an open mind. But for folks that have not gone down this journey yet, I ask you to have an open mind. Every path has some truth and has some lies, and you have to go through every single path to find out the truth for yourself. And you have to be open-minded, because down every path has a truth. And I've personally seen a lot of stuff about parasite removal. I ate like crap my whole life because I used eating bad food, $1 pizzas and $1 TV dinners as a form of saving money for my financial status. And I think a
Sure.
lot of people do that. They
Sure.
eat these $1 McDonald's foods as a form of saving, as a way of being financially intelligent, which
Right.
is sad that we have to do that. And so that's why I think a lot of my health issues came from. So I wouldn't doubt that I have a parasite or two. But just really quickly, because I know this is going to be out there for a lot of people.
Sure.
What is the idea of parasite removal? What have you seen? And just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's probably another thing that, I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, but I think parasites are probably worse than COVID. Okay, right now, in terms of the amount of people that have them and don't know that they have them. And when you have a parasite, you will have side effects and miserable symptoms manifest in 40, 50 different unique ways. So that when you do go to the doctor and you tell him I have this symptom, he'll just brush it off and say you have IBS, or that, he'll give you another fancy name for a digestive issue, when in fact, most people have parasites. And so the thing with parasites is that they're sneaky, and that you can get tested. So when I saw my parasite, I had photographs. I mean, I was taking pictures. I was so shocked.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to my doctor, and he was just like, "You have IBS." And I'm like, "Sir, I have a parasite here. Look at this picture." And he's like, "Oh, snap. We got to get you a blood test ASAP." I took the blood test and I came back negative for all the parasites that they tested. But guess what? I saw those critters running out of me. In fact, it took me about 3 months of doing regular colon hydrotherapy. I'm talking like I did a colonic almost every week for about 8 to 12 weeks, I'll tell you, because I wanted to stop seeing those aliens come out of my body.
Yeah.
And two, the candida that you get, it's horrible. Your bowels are full of mucus, like snot. So you're getting all this excess mucus that's inside of your gut flushed out. And it was after going through that journey that I got my health and my life back. And it was just amazing. And just like you said, it became so exciting that I just was like, I'm done with my film career and TV. This is my passion. This works. This helps. And like you, that enthusiasm, I wanted to share it with everybody. And it was a struggle though, because again, that procedure is not for everybody. But in the end, it was just about just waking up to this role that I think I resisted for a while. But here we are. And whether we're healers or we're just citizens that are here trying to piece things together and help one another out, call it whatever you want. But it's just about us trying to affect each other in a positive way. And that's what we need more of right now. And I'm tired of all the arguing and fighting, and I'm not interested in getting in a debate. And I feel like on TikTok, that's what, a lot of people, they just want to debate. They just want to argue. And, that's healthy. That's good. It's good to discuss. But unfortunately, these times have become so emotional that even now the subject of healing in a natural way is a delicate topic. Almost like before, you could never talk about sex, religion, and politics. Now you got to throw health into that one,
which is pretty shocking.
It's a new thing, and I hope we can change that, because it's absurd.
It's pretty shocking, especially when you share the statistics. I'll go over just real quick.
Yeah.
In America, just by living in America, we pay 3.4 times more for a pharmaceutical drug brand just because we live in America, which we take 27% of those drugs and we create 53% of the revenue. We also spend $11,000 on average in a private insurance program, which is more than double the world average for developed countries in healthcare.
Unbelievable.
And when you look at the graph of life expectancy, we are below everybody, and we're trending to be 64th in 20 years. And so it's not even something that I'm trying to make political or that I'm emotional about. It's just simply look at the data. And you just see so many people get so upset about the idea of a universal healthcare or just more affordable healthcare. So it's very shocking to see people where they come up with these ideas. And I agree, debate is very healthy. What gets me very angry is the censorship, which we'll get into with you because you know.
Absolutely.
But let's get into TikTok, because I know there's a lot of people that are watching this that watched our content from TikTok that are probably haven't posted a video before, and they're wanting to, just get that extra push. So tell me, how did you first hear about TikTok? How did your first experience with TikTok? And then how did you first decide to post your first video? And do you even remember what that video was?
Absolutely. So I resisted TikTok. I was
Resisted it.
actually anti-TikTok in the beginning because I thought it was stupid. I just saw people dancing all the time. And I'm like, terrible dancer. So I'm like, look, I'm not dancing. And if this is what you have to do to promote your business, I'm not interested. Thank you. But my girlfriend gave me a good kick in the butt and a good nudge. And it wasn't until actually she did show me a few informative educational videos that I saw the light. And I was like, wait a second. Oh, well, what do you know? Well, let me play with it. And I believe I did a video on diverticulitis. And
What is
it
that?
was diverticulitis is a very painful situation where you have these intestinal pouches that will fill up, and you will just have pockets of hard rock poop that kind of looks like rabbit pellets. And people who poop out rabbit pellets or who have really severe pain when they go to the bathroom, unfortunately, are dealing with a situation that could turn into an infection, could even rupture. And people accidentally diagnose themselves with this sickness when they get a colonic. But once they get it, I hit the brakes. And I'm like, okay, we know now you have this situation. Now you need to get help. So the help I can offer, and I do that in a natural route. But then again, some people need to go to the MD. That's fine. You go whichever direction you want. But this is another thing. Like, you know, you learn about how, like, wow, this procedure, somebody's had this disease. They had no clue. And they just figured out, okay, I'm pooping rabbit pellets. Well, I have this situation. I better get on it. So
She posted that video.
and that video got like, I forgot how many, 50,000 views or something. And it blew up to like 100,000. And so I didn't understand the magnitude of what it was and what was happening, even when my girlfriend was like, that's a big deal. That's great.
And this is on your first video, guys. This is
First couple of
video.
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just started to play with the technology. And suddenly my former filmmaker self kicked in because I had no clue. Wow, this technology is amazing. It's amazing because, you know, back in the day when I did production, if I wanted to put any animation on anything, it would cost you like $5,000 to produce something animated for 10, 15 seconds, let alone, you know, a whole minute. And here we are with access to animation and titles and music that we don't have to get the rights to. I mean, that was the big game changer. And so I commend TikTok for giving us this technology while I spank them and slap them on the wrist for what to me seems like a potentially flawed algorithm that allows and empowers people to kind of, out of spite, they don't like what you're saying, have the power to actually get you banned because they just don't agree with what you're saying. And so I had 280,000 followers.
So you had in your first account, so you had a first account that had 280,000 followers, and then describe the morning you woke up and
yeah. So it kind of the warning signs were actually there a few weeks before, because suddenly, I mean, just all my videos were getting taken down. You know,
so how did you know they were taken down when you went through
because you get notified and then you'll see, hey, your video was taken down for violating the terms of service. And I'm like, okay, a video on licorice root where I showed an article that showed that licorice root actually helped to kill the SARS COVID virus. And this article was older than before the pandemic. And I guess that was a little too touchy. So that got taken down. And so one video after another apparently was just upsetting people, and they would report it. And there you go. And then so it just got to that point where not only did my account, by the way, get taken down, but by some weird coincidence, my girlfriend's account also got banned and shut down. So we both woke up to this thing where it took us weeks to try to find a human being, and we never did. Nobody would help us. We tried to appeal, and we were just constantly rejected. And so I had no other choice but to just open another account and start from scratch. And here we are. So it could happen again, you know? And so I'm prepping on a YouTube channel, Health Boss TV. And we're just going to start hopefully expanding otherwise into other places and not putting all our eggs in one basket, because, you know, censorship is real. We're being censored. We're being silenced. We live in the United States of America, where we think we have freedom of speech. And here we are trying to help people. Meanwhile, all day long, I see people using the foulest language, people being sexually explicit, violence, I mean, ultra violence all the time. But here I am getting taken down because I'm telling you to drink some papaya leaf tea or what? So
And that's the shocking thing.
riddle me that.
Exactly. And that's what's really kind of, again, kind of brightened a light in my head too, is when you go on TikTok and you save a video or you like it, you can go back and then that section where that video was will just be gone. It'll just be a white thing with a 0 there.
Right.
And I started taking screenshots because I wanted to go back to these videos, but I wanted to know what videos they were deleting because there's no way for me to tell. So after a while, I was able to compare my screenshot to the thing and see they're taking down videos that are about natural health. And many times creators are showing the PubMed article in the background and they're taking down the health. So that to me is very alarming. And again, like you mentioned earlier, we're up for debate. Science is about exchanging information on both sides to figure out what the truth is. It's a problem when you start censoring one side, because now you're not letting options and people deciding for themselves and going down the rabbit hole and trying to learn on their own.
Well, there's no growth.
And there's no growth. And that's very shocking. So first of all, kudos to you to taking that on the chin, you know, growing to 280,000. I'm at 170. So you had 100,000 more. That took me, you know, almost a year to do. So I know how much work and effort we put into making these TikToks, how much time, how much emotion, and to have that taken away has got to be just painful. So I commend you for starting over, and your work speaks for itself, because look, you're already back to 115,000. People like learning about health. They like learning about natural things that we have evolved with over millions of years. So that just kind of shows you where, you know, people's mindsets are at now, which is kind of exciting. So do you, when you post, do you have a routine that you follow? Is there something that you have in place to get over that each morning when you post?
Yeah. So this is where now we can get into the metaphysical directions, you know, since we spoke about Reiki, and I just have a creative process, and I tend to channel and remote view what I need to do. And I fly blind every day. And what happens is I listen to that little voice inside of me, and it surprises me half the time, but I will either wake up and I'll come across an article that may suddenly be in alignment with what I want to talk about or something that I'm trying to promote. So it's a combination of looking for the signs and the universe helping to provide them. And then it's just like, I honestly feel like I channel, like I don't know what I'm going to say before I say it. There's no script. I just know what I want to talk about, and it just comes out. And fortunately, a lot of what I say, I feel confident about because it's all coming from experience. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to talk about it. And I like to feel confident that I've done my research, or I have experience, or that I know that what I'm saying is real. And sometimes I make mistakes, but you know, for the most part, it's just amazing. Drug companies basically clone all these plants, all these natural herbs into a chemical replica. And it's a clone. It's a watered down copy, just like a VHS second generation cassette or whatever you're using, you're copying it. So even that, when they're giving it to you, is watered down. It's not authentic. It's a copy. It's fake.
It's got the fluoride to increase the half-life. It's got oil in it to make it a pill capsule form. And it has the host of side effects that comes from putting something unnatural in your body. And we already talked about with Lundis Pauling, that's proven that you can't take something and try and find the one little thing in the orange, the one little thing in the papaya that is the secret end all be all, and expect that to have the same effects as consuming an entire whole fruit or vegetable or root. It doesn't work like that. And
Correct.
if anybody's taking pills out there, I know that you deep down know that, because you're not
Right.
getting healthy. You know you're not getting healthy.
Right.
So that's incredible that you're able to just kind of channel and just say things off the top of your head. I know for myself, I sometimes like to write down not a script word for word, but an idea of what I want.
Sure.
Just to make sure
Direction
it
is
fits
good.
it. Yeah, just make sure it fits in the 60 seconds, right? And add my background pictures, because I know a lot of people are visual learners. So for those of you watching, that there's many different ways. Sometimes you can just, you feel the emotion and you send it on something that you know that you've lived based on your experience, or you can do kind of what I do and use books and resources and studies and kind of methodically think it out. There is no right way to do it. But if you have a passion, if you want to share it, please share it. We want to hear what you have to say. You never know, you might get to 100,000 followers like Sacha here.
Absolutely. Can I quickly cut you off and chime in on that
Yeah.
and just say that, you know, the best advice I can give from my experience and what I did and my success on TikTok is that you want to tell your story, people. Tell your story, because we're all special. We're all unique. We all have our own journeys and our own set of experiences that we can share and that we can learn from. And don't try to be something else or somebody else or try to copy anybody. Just do your own thing. Do your own thing and just speak from your heart. And I'm confident if you tell them your story, it's going to resonate with people, especially when you're coming from the heart. So
I could not agree, and that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with TikTok, is because of the authenticity. You can feel when someone's being authentic, when they're talking from real world experience, and that's what draws people in. Is you saw on Instagram, it was a fake reality where people were very, you know, fake photoshopping, standing behind a Lamborghini, got the nice house,
right.
got the nice clothes, and it was very fake. And TikTok, although they do some censor stuff, which I'm not a fan of, it's very natural and it's very empowering to people who are just filming with no makeup, that are
It's
filming.
raw. It's
It's raw.
raw.
It's
It's
raw.
organic.
It's organic, and it's coming from the heart. And I think that's why TikTok has really grown into what it is. So before we leave, Sacha, what is your mission? What impact are you trying to make?
It's a good question. And I'll be frank with you, because for the last 12 years, I was just a mild mannered small business here in Burbank, California, doing my thing on a microscopic level. At least that's what it felt like. And TikTok turned what I'm doing into something global, where I now ship natural remedies to people all around the world. And it's been amazing. So, what has ended up happening is that my priorities have actually shifted. And as much as I love colon hydrotherapy, um, my passion is that not only am I, helping to provide people with some rare, hard to find natural remedies, whether it's soursop leaves or blue vervain or sea moss, but it's also for me about like, this everything is so linear right now, and we still have so much more to learn, and we really don't know everything and anything. But I think for me, it's really about helping people learn to realize that when you give your body the right conditions and you can control your body's internal environment, that you can regain your health. And it's that simple. So I think for me, the passion has to do with getting people to start fasting on a regular basis, because that act in and of itself is the most powerful act that you can do to heal yourself. And look it up. There's a guy named Jesus Christ in the Bible. Or you can even look it up in the Quran, or whether you're Jewish, or every religion will have fasting as part of their regimen. And that's a big secret, but part of that, and that's the beauty of fasting, is that it also will give you spiritual enlightenment. And that's the cool stuff that happens when you start to fast, is that you don't only reap physical benefits, but man, I had the best dreams. I had so many lucid moments, and my intuition was sharper than a knife when I did my fast. And that's what it's about. Is I just want to share, just like you, that there's just all these different things that we can all do. You just need to find what resonates with you and what's in alignment with your personality, and that you can fix yourself. And I think that's kind of what my goal has been now, is to just help and guide people and push them in the right direction so that they don't need me and they can do it themselves.
I love that. And I love that you touched on that, because again, that's why I love your channel so much. And again, yes, this all comes from a place of trying to heal the physical pain, but the side effect of the physical pain being healed is the mental feeling, the mental euphoria, the mental relinquish from these chains that you feel. And when you feel that, you just want to give that feeling to other people. Because what world would we live in? What would that look like if everybody had that mental euphoria that comes from healing your actual self and feeling empowered that you did it yourself? I can't remember any of my doctors trying to give me the power to say, here, take this information and I don't want to see you again. They want to see me on a weekly checkup, right?
Right.
So thank you so much, Sacha, for your time.
Absolutely,
Guys,
Dillon.
follow this guy, Sacha, at Healing Arts Apothecary on TikTok. I'm going to list all of his channels on the screen, as well as in the description below. Check out his website, healingarts.me. He is a wonderful resource. He's always active in the comments. He posts almost daily, and he's just sharing information that we've known for hundreds of years, and we're just stumbling upon it again for some reason.
That's
And
it.
there's no better time to do it now. So, Sacha, thank you so much for your time. Learned so much. Thank you for being raw with us. And you know what? I'll see you out there on the TikTok grind, and hopefully we can do this again in the future.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Everybody, stay strong, stay healthy, and God bless.
Absolutely.